Hi everyone, welcome back to Olive City Homestead. Kim here, Northern California, Zone 9B. So this is part 2 in a 2-part series on raising ducklings. If you didn't see part 1, there is a link to it at the end of this video. And also at the end of this video is a surprise, so make sure you stay tuned all the way to the end to see what I've got to show you. Now come with me on a journey from my ducks at age about 4 weeks to now full grown at 6 months old. I think you'll learn some useful things along the way and just enjoy watching them grow up so fast. The girls have moved full-time outside today. It is Friday, March 20th. They are 4.5 weeks old and they are loving being outside all day. Time to get some new water. They've just downed that one. Got their brooder cage over there in the corner. Gonna put some fresh pine shavings in it for bedding, and I'm going to cover the top with tarp or something like that to just seal it in from the weather. And it's been in the 40s at night, so they're totally hardy enough to be out here now. They're ready for this now. Their feathers have come in, not fully, but enough that they can be out here, and they're happy. And I'm happy. Doing it for 4 weeks was very, very doable. The last week I did need to change their, or not change, but fill up their water every 4 or 5 hours rather than twice a day. I had moved from twice a day to 3 times a day, and then this last 5 or 6 days I was doing it 4 or 5 times a day to make sure they had water. So that did become a little bit, not annoying or inconvenient, but just, you know, something to remember to do. But that was also good because it kept me in touch with them, and they're very comfortable with me, which is what I want. But what I was really surprised about was that it wasn't stinky or messy until the last couple of days, because they just did get so big. But even then, as long as I changed the bedding at least every other day, it wasn't smelly. So if I'd been willing to do it every day, I probably could have gone another week or 2 in there. But they were big enough to come out, and I didn't want to do it that often because my left wrist, though it's been out of the cast for 3 or 4 weeks now, after being broken in several spots, it is still recovering and still not very strong or flexible. So changing their bedding was not the easiest thing for me. But again, it was so much easier to brood these ducks than I had read it would be. I mean, I had read they're easy but very stinky and messy, and my experience with 6 ducks is that is simply not necessarily true, especially if you do their water on the paint pan and rack the way I did. It was actually quite simple, and I'm thrilled with the outcome and that I took the plunge and did it. And they're thrilled too. So these are my ducks at 5.5 weeks old. I recently came up with the idea of putting in this little thermos, and they love it. In like 3 minutes, they can get that water level down halfway. They put their whole heads, even most of their necks, down in that water, but they don't jump in it. At least I've never seen them. It's a little bit too small for that, but they can get quite a ways down in there and really enjoy it. What are you girls doing? You're so talkative. The ducks are 10 weeks old today. And I'm enjoying them more than ever. That one's funny. Bye, girls. So, the ducks don't know how to get in the pool. I've had the pool here since yesterday morning, and it's now like 6 tonight. All day yesterday, all day today. And yesterday evening, they had bent the edge down almost to the ground, so there was only like 2 inches of water in it, and one of them finally kind of walked in and walked around it. But I filled it up today and propped it up, and now is the first time anybody's gotten in. And she didn't get in, she fell in. She was like taking a deep drink and she accidentally tumbled in. And she does not know what the heck is going on. It's not really deep enough except on, it's on a slope, so except on one end, the end closest to me, it's not really deep enough for her to swim. But it is right on this end where she is. The others keep running away, as you can see. They don't know what to think. I have a ramp in there for them. First I put in stepping stones. That didn't work, so I put in a wooden ramp. They totally ignore it. Oh, she almost jumped in the water can. Not a can, water dish. She's trying to jump in it. I think the one in the pool, which is the biggest one, the silver apple yard, has finally decided to be okay with being in the water. And the others are like, what in the world? All right, I'm going to interrupt that June 2nd video clip for a moment. At the time I did that filming, the ducks were 15 weeks old. It's now August 12th, and they're 6 months old now. But the day before I filmed that, I made a discovery, and that is that our black duck right there, the chocolate runner, is in fact a male. Yes, so my daughter naming him Batman was correct, even before we knew. I had ordered 6 females, but mistakes can happen. There's no guarantee, and he's definitely a male. And I knew that at the time I was showing that clip because the day before I had discovered it. And how did I discover it? Well, there are 4 main signs that will tell you you have a male duck rather than a female, and he exhibited all 4 of them. One, and I'll try to show you here, I started noticing that to get in just the right light, and this is maybe not it. Oh, and I'm scaring them away. Come back to the mud, guys, girls. In the right light, his black feathers are actually very green on his neck and his wings, and that is a sign of a male. He also has 1 curly tail feather. You can see it right there if you look closely. 1 curly tail feather. That is also a sign of a male. The third sign of a male that he showed very clearly was that he doesn't quack. Now, he might be offended by that. He probably thinks he quacks, but really only female ducks quack. His quack, if you want to call it that. Hey, who's that? Well, hello there. Did you get separated? There you go. So Batman's quack actually sounds kind of like a very sick chicken. Not that I've had a sick chicken, but you know what I would think a sick chicken would sound like. It's a very, very wimpy quack. Very quiet and not really a quack, just sort of this whiny noise. Yeah, and that's a sign of a male. Yeah. So the fourth sign was that at 15 weeks, he started mounting the females. Now, it seemed kind of lighthearted, kind of playful at first, and so that can actually be done by a female on female too. So I was hoping at first that I was wrong, but that made me start paying really close attention to him for a day or two, and that's when I saw all the other signs. Now, I didn't know those, but, you know, once he started doing that little bit of mounting, I researched, oh, how will I know if this is a male duck? Once I realized that I was right and he was male, I was a little amused that he had the right name, but mostly I was not very pleased because I had really wanted 6 female for a few different reasons, which don't seem important now. But at the time, they seemed important, and so I actually offered him to several groups that I'm on locally for rehoming. And I knew it wasn't likely that someone would want a single male duck, so I offered him along with his co-runner, that grayish duck there, that's a blue runner. So I offered them as a pair, and I did have a few people that were interested, but they had been planning on getting ducks in the fall, and they would need to build an enclosure and some sort of house for them, and they just weren't quite sure yet. They needed a week to think about it and see if they could get something together. And during that week, I watched him really closely, and I wanted to see what kind of a mater he was going to be. If he was going to be very aggressive and violent like some ducks are. I mean, if you look up duck mating, the male duck anatomy is kind of bizarre, and often they are kind of violent, especially in the water with the females. So I was a little worried, and I watched, and after 4 or 5 days, I realized I don't need to worry, actually. First of all, his overall demeanor the whole time I've had him has been just like the girls, very nice, very quiet, very gentle. There, you heard him, didn't you? He's talking to her, but it's that quiet sound. That is not what the girls sound like. They're very loud. Anyway, he was very gentle overall, but as I watched his attempts at mating, and at first he didn't really know what he was doing, of course, but as he got better at it, he wasn't violent. And even more important than that, there's 5 of these girls, and 2 of them are much bigger than him, and 3 of them way more than him. There's only 1 that's actually smaller than him, and they seem to be completely in charge. If they don't care if he mates with them, they let him, and but they don't let it go on too long before they shake him off and walk away or shoo him out of the pool or whatever. And if they don't want it at all, they just don't let him. So that's how it's been so far anyway since June 2nd, so for the last 2 months. The other thing is that, generally speaking, ducks only mate very frequently in the spring and early summer. So I thought if it ever did become an issue, I could always separate him for part of the day, or when he was being overly aggressive, from the rest of the flock for, half the day or a few hours or whatever, if it ever got to that point. But now that 2 months have gone by, I don't think it will, and I'm very happy I chose to keep them all together. And I will say this, as with the research I did about ducks in general, getting ducks, raising ducks, so it is with the mating of ducks and the research I did about that. It's a little off-putting what you might read about it, and I think, you need to hear the other side of the story if you're thinking about getting ducks. And the other side of the story is it doesn't always turn out as intensely worrisome as they make it sound, either the mess or the mating. So there are things you can do to alleviate both of those issues, and I just think that more people need to speak up, more duck owners, and say, it's not like that. Actually, you can make it have a better outcome. There are always things you can do, and I'm very, very pleased, actually, that I kept him. They're very happy together. By the way, before I end this little clip and move on, I want to say that mud puddle there I actually created on purpose. A couple times a week, when I fill the pool in the morning, I let it overflow and for an hour or so and create a mud puddle. It only lasts 3 or 4 hours, the mud puddle, but they just love it so much. In our intense heat, it dries up pretty quickly, so there's no mess or stink created from it. Just a lot of fun for them. Right, Batman? Oh! Well, just before we head back to June 2nd, and another clip from that day, I thought I'd throw the girls a little treat. So these are some small leaves from from a couple of my collard plants. Collard is great to use in cooking. It's great to use to make compost tea. And it's great to give your chickens and ducks. Ducks especially like it. Don't you, girls? And Batman. Oh, so you can see the green on Batman's head there. Okay, back to June. Scared him, huh? Well, I promised you a surprise, so first I'm going to give you 1 full minute of the ducks enjoying themselves immensely in their pool one recent morning. And after that, with no talking from me, by the way, just the ducks. And after that, I'll give you the surprise. Well, I promised you a surprise. But this isn't it. No, this is a wonderful big Amish pie squash, but it's not my surprise for you. In this video, my surprise is a duck egg. Yes. So, about the time we discovered that Batman was a boy, when the girls were 15 weeks old, they started laying. Now, it's not consistent from the beginning, just like with chickens, you know. There was a couple of really small ones before they got big, and we had, I think, 2 in the last 5 or 6 weeks that were
shellless. I don't know if you've ever seen that with a chicken. I've seen it once or twice with them, and now I've seen it twice with ducks, where when they first start laying, sometimes for some reason their body doesn't produce a shell, so it just comes out with that film on it. And that reminds me something about duck eggs that you might not know that my children all discovered when they started cooking with them, because they love making egg sandwiches and such. My 3 kids who are still living home with me, my college, no, he's graduated now, okay, my 20-something son who just graduated college and will be moving out very soon, and my 2 teenage girls, 14 and 17 on Saturday. They came to me one at a time, you know, completely without talking to each other about it, when they were cooking, and said to me, "Mom, there's something wrong with this egg." And I'm like, "What? There's nothing wrong with the egg." "Yes, it won't crack." And so I had to explain to them that duck eggs have a much firmer film on them inside of the shell. I'm not really sure what that's called, that inner film, but you know what I'm talking about. And on duck eggs, it's much stronger than it is on chicken eggs, so it takes a firm hand to crack the egg. And I don't mean to say you need to bash it, you would have a mess on your hands, but it does take a firmer hand than what they were used to with the chicken eggs. But other than that, there's really not much difference in taste. I should say most people don't notice any difference in taste. A few people do, but most don't. They are slightly higher in protein, so a lot of people like to use them in baking because they, you know, add some extra rising agent to your whatever you're baking, so that's nice. And they're generally considered, although I'm not sure how true this is, to be slightly healthier, but maybe that's just the higher protein level. I'll have to look into that. But I haven't noticed a difference in taste at all. I just have noticed I now have more eggs again. My chickens are 3 years old now and have started to slow down their pace of production slightly, and I am going to get more chicks next spring to build up that supply again. But one of the main reasons I did get ducks was to have more eggs, so I was very happy when that happened. And I guess normally it's supposed to start about that time, 16 to 18 weeks, and mine started between 15 and 17 weeks. Where are they? Oh, they're all nestled down over there behind the fence. So I wanted to share that with you because now they're laying. They didn't all start at the same time. One started, and then 3 or 4 days later another one started. At this point they're all laying as of last week, and I get 4 or 5 eggs from my 5 female ducks every day. I don't know how long that will, you know, continue, but for now I'm very happy with all these eggs. Little things make the ducks so happy. They just love running water and mud. But I mean, really, this water's only been running about 30 seconds and they are in heaven. Makes me happy that I can make them happy by something so small. Just a little play in the water before bed. Don't the ducks look cute? They're just all nestled down in the shade for a little afternoon cozy relaxation. Thanks for joining me, everyone, for this 2-part series on raising ducklings. I have enjoyed going back over my ducklings, now adult ducks, 6 months of life. They grew so fast and they've been so much fun. I can't tell you what a great decision it was for me to get ducks. I'm just so glad I followed that instinct that urged me to do it and went forward, and I hope you will too. If you would like to see more videos like this one with useful tips for a simple homestead life and easy gardening ideas for beginners, then click the subscribe button and the notification bell so you'll know whenever I upload new content. And remember, you can garden and live your way and create the life you want.